It's a pretty big fucking mic, but all right.
Well, Dennis, you can turn around,
exactly.
but me and
you know
Kev,
what they
say,
like,
You know,
I
you
see.
know what they say about a big mic.
I have to turn around?
I don't know.
Oh,
God.
Turning around for that
Oh,
big
God.
mic. Dang.
I was gonna say big hands, but then I gotta cover it.
wow, that was bad. Welcome to GP. This is episode number 59. We are already laughing because we've been talking about a bunch of shit before we started recording. You'll probably hear a little bit of that when I edit the shit out of this episode. All right. On the phone with me, as always, is Kevin.
As always, motherfuckers.
I wish we could fix that delay of you hearing me introduce you and then you actually talking. But whatever. Everett is here too.
I'm always introduced first, and there's always a delay. Like, you don't know I'm going to say, I'm here, motherfuckers, or as always, a quick thing. I let everyone know it's an explicit podcast right off the bat, and then there's like a 3-second delay.
Yep.
And
yeah, it's
go.
not you. It's the internet. It's the internet. We blame the internet. All right, Everett's here
You can't
too.
fix slow, Rob. You can't fix slow.
Whoa, you're out of turn, Dennis.
Whoa.
Wait.
I'm here. Dennis is here, taking my place. It's all good.
Yeah, for once. So I can't remember the last time we had all four of us knuckleheads on the freaking show at one time.
Shit gets crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
apparently
throwing
no
one
one-
of you guys
no
off
one
your
else did
game.
either.
What's up with that?
Last time we had 4 people on the episode was when Josh Heron sat in, or when Carl sat in. But apparently, according to dudes on Reddit, we don't give you any inside info. Fuck you! Fuck you! Specifically, that guy who said
Is that all they listen to us for? Is the inside
Yeah.
info? Well, shit, I guess I gotta get some more then.
Yeah, exactly. The inside.
What do y'all-
We're
what-
gonna get
inside
Danny
info
Kent on
and
the episode.
insight.
We're gonna get
Oh.
to the. We're getting Danny Kent on the episode. We're getting to the bottom of his hair and why talking to his girlfriend on the phone is more important than studying the track and his race information, and why he got sacked 2 races in or quit, depending on who you talk to.
We got a corner
Wow,
for the
no,
exclusive.
that's a brilliant idea. I feel like we got to make that happen. Who knows British journalists
Right.
that we can talk to get an interview with him?
Yes.
David Emmett. I don't know. I'm going with Emmett.
Yeah, exactly. Emmett.
He yeah.
Anyways.
Whatever. All right. This let's get to some business here.
Let's do it.
We're off track already and we're only 3 minutes in.
Exactly. Well, that's only
Ryder's
because
Law.
I took. Go ahead.
No, Ryder's Law. Ryder's Law.
Sigh.
So last episode I put Ryder's Law like a little bit towards the middle, and Cy, one of the head lawyers over at Ryder's Law, he called me up. He's like, dude, I was sweating bullets just thinking like, fuck these guys. Did they forget about Ryder's Law? And no, we got
for
it
real.
in there.
We will never forget about Riders Law because they were our first sponsor, our main sponsor. And in case there was any questions about that, you go to the new brotogp.com, which Rob has made some nice changes to, and on our sponsor page where you can find other sponsors, Riders Law is still the biggest and with top billing. They're basically the Steven Spielberg of BrotoGP sponsors.
BrotoGP.
You know what I'm saying?
Big money in that.
So they're old and graying, is what you're saying.
No.
And Jewish.
No.
Hey, I'm back! I'm back, everyone!
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
What's up, Cy?
Yeah, right? Yeah, everyone. Riders Law, they're California motorcycle accident injury lawyers. If you ever need any legal help because something happens to you on the street when you're riding your motorcycle, please give them a call. They are doing great things for motorcycling and motorcycle racing especially. So help them out, help us out, help everyone out. And they will help you out for sure. But I think Riders Law Racers this past weekend, Josh Heron did pretty good on his superbike. His Mean Motorsports team, who is sponsored by Riders Law, got their bike sorted, and he was fighting actually for the win for a little while, which was pretty awesome. Jason Aguilar got third in race 2 in Superstock 600, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm racing.
Nice.
I'm racing in 2 weeks, so we'll see how that goes with Moto America. Lots of stuff going down.
Exude confidence there, eh?
Exactly.
We'll see how that goes. Fuck.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this
He's
again?
already sandbagging.
Yeah.
No, he's already sandbagging. It's not even practice times yet.
I have so much experience
Also,
in Virginia.
Speaking of plugs, I just got to give my main man Remy a shout out. You'll notice if you follow our Instagram or Facebook or social media that we have increased the dank memes exponentially. The dankness is off the charts, and that's almost exclusively to my man Remy, who's sending us these ones. He's pretty fucking funny. Him and his friend make some memes for us. We're kind of changing up stuff we post on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, not just like, race pictures, but funny shit, adding it up. It's pretty hilarious what we've been doing, and a lot of that's due to Remy. So, also, he's a fabulous hairdresser.
Dude,
Just,
that-
information on the side.
that is that shit right there is the inside information.
Yeah, there we go. The
That's
insight.
the inside info, exactly. If you want the dankness, you got to go to @RotoGP across many platforms,
Good-
and it's you will see
good-
some shit. It's no doubt.
Good internet memes are better than fucking all the other bullshit in the paddock combined. Hands down.
Whoa.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit. Whatever.
Dude,
Yeah.
a good meme, it goes a long way. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, my man Remy, go. And also, everyone, thank you on Instagram for the recommendations on the boxed wine I should be drinking this episode. I went with Grand Cru Vineyards, a 2014 Sauvignon Blanc that was $3.
That's some good shit.
Wait, in a box. You
That's
got a 2014
That's
in a box?
That's that side
That is-
money. That's that rider's law
That is
money.
value. That is value you can taste. That you can taste it.
Exactly.
All right, let's
So-
get to some motorcycle racing. So last episode we recorded right after COTA, and so much shit went down that we actually did not. We felt like we left stuff on the table. So we're gonna cover a little bit of Moto 2, Moto 3, and some MotoGP here. We do know that World Superbike just happened, and we are going to talk about that. I promise. I made these fuckers watch the races, and we're gonna.
Yes.
The cool thing is in World Superbike something happened, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So let's kick this one off with Moto 2 and Franco Morbidelli. So Franco, I mean, I guess we're gonna complain later about Johnny Ray winning everything, but we'll actually give praise a little bit to Franco Morbidelli for winning the first 3 races of the season, and doing it kind of in a dominant fashion. And the one thing that I really want to know is, how does this affect Moto 2? Like, do you think this is reviving the class? Do you think it's gonna make? Do you think we're gonna have another good transition from Moto 2 to MotoGP? What's this doing for Moto 2?
Well, I think for me personally, it's reviving the class and bringing interest, because every time you saw a guy dominate, outside of Marc Marquez, what you saw was a guy dominate who was sort of a journeyman, right? You saw Zarco dominate after a couple of low years, although he did switch teams to the Akiayo team, so you got to give that some credit. You saw Tito Rabat, do really well and win a bunch of races after some people moved up, and he was basically riding around Alameda, all morning and all evening. But, Franco, we saw him come on real strong at the end of the year last year against all the top names. He went on like a 7-podium run or 6-podium run with no wins, but he was getting consistent seconds and thirds, and then took the next step forward, and he's clearly dominating this season. 3 wins on the bounce. He's a new name. It's interesting. So that's the difference between, say, Ray and with the sort of the boringness of what we talk about in World Superbike later, or some people will say, is that Franco's new blood, his Jerry curl is legit. You know what I mean?
God, I was
that's
going to bring it up.
Richie,
You stole it.
That's Lionel Richie, 1986.
His hair might be
power
his hair
stuff.
might be better than Rob's. I don't know.
Oh God,
Yes,
no.
It's a solid curl. And he's got just enough Brazilian blood that porn stash and that curl looks good. It's not even ironic. It's just his look, and it's solid. So, for me, I think that Franco winning, an Italian, a Brazilian, it breaks up the Spanish, grip on the series that we had for a while. Continues Zarco keeping that alive, and I'm a big fan of Franco. So to see him take that next step and dominate is great for the series for me.
Yep.
Well, that's probably the whole crux of the issue, right? Is he's a likable rider, right? We're not. We do watch motorcycle racing for the personalities, but we keep watching. We watch motorcycle racing for the racing and for the motorcycles and for the speed. But we keep watching, and interest builds for the personalities and for the riders. I mean, we've said it before. The best thing that could happen to motorcycle racing right now is all those like 16-year-old teenagers that are getting into the sport because they're going to blow it up somewhere. And we need personalities, people like Franco that everyone likes. He may be a little stern and kind of a little cut and dry, but somehow he's still likable. And he's dominating.
It's the Jerry curl.
It's probably the Jerry curl.
Well,
that's a throwback for those 16-year-olds. They don't know what it is, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he's helping because it's a new face and it's kind of opening up the series for us to learn about new people and the personalities and kind of get used to them and comfortable with them, right? So that when they do progress, they're not coming into GP as nobodies. But I think the bigger piece is Franco could be another massive talent that, given his time here and the dominance he's getting here, if he can take that to a good ride when he gets to GP, whether it's next year or the year after, maybe he comes in and he really has just a crazy amount of confidence. He comes out and hits the class hard. So I think that's the hope for me, that he just keeps on dominating here and can carry that forward.
Right, pulls a Zarco, basically.
To a degree, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
hopefully he gets a better ride. I hope he gets a better ride.
Point, better than that.
Yeah.
Better than Zarco, right? Because he's
younger.
He's 3 for 3 right now this year.
Well, so. He's younger. He's younger too, and some other things that can hopefully catapult him quicker, right? But it's all about the ride you get too. So
right. And I think also that something that's not lost on everyone, but it's not talked about a lot, is that Morbidelli didn't come from GP. He is not a CEV to 125 or to Moto3 to the medium class. He was brought over from 600 Superstock. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's sort of an outlier. He was the 2013 600 Superstock champion and then made the jump to Moto2 and improved every single year. He wasn't really a journeyman. He was young. He came over from a completely different paddock, and then every single year made the improvement. Last year made the big jump forward, and then this year followed the jump. So he's following, while a totally different path, still the every single year I'm better. Yeah, well, he's not someone that is sitting around waiting for everyone to lead.
He's doing what everyone had expected or hoped of Sam Lowe's, right? And you're right. There's a lot of interest behind Lowe's, partially because he's not the guy that everyone knows about from Moto3 and from CEV, like you were saying. So yeah, you're right. That's probably adding to the interest. But
at least for me, it is, because it opens up the interest of who can come from what series. You know, it changes the complete sort of domination of, if you're not 12 years old, you know, riding mini bikes, getting ready to CEV, you're never making it to MotoGP.
Yeah, there aren't too many progressions of people that actually improve consistently from outside championships. Like, we've seen people come in and do okay, but they don't keep building year after year. Yeah, it is good to see that, but it goes back to a topic that comes up in racing in general, is that the cream always rises to the top, right? It doesn't matter what a supreme talent is on, they are eventually going to do very well.
Yeah, well, yes and no, right? I mean, eventually, meaning they're going to do like Maverick did, where he was on the Suzuki, and it took him a while. He demonstrated the skill set and capability, and then he earned the next progression, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean by eventually, right? Because of their talent, they're going to get the best rides in the paddock, and they're going to therefore get the best results.
Yeah, the paddock sees...
So Franco is showing that now.
Yeah, the paddock sees all those nuances of work ethic, skill set, talent, drive, you know, not crashing, consistency, whatever, working with the team.
Yeah, and they see it more than we do. I mean, how else did Bradley Smith get a ride for so long?
Right, exactly.
All right.
I think he had all those things. He just didn't have as much talent, frankly. So
yeah, no, I mean,
or as much hair.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll be honest. Bradley Smith's Jerry curl was not nearly as on point that Franco's is. You know, and I don't want to get into like the passport talk or whatever, but the fact that Franco is half Brazilian. His mom is Brazilian. He loves Brazil. He represents it on his helmet. For me, that's a huge draw for a secondary group. We do have races in South America again. Before, we saw Yanni Hernandez sort of like forced upon us because he was South American heritage, he was Colombian, but to have, a real talent with race-winning pedigree on a good team that's also from South America that can help grow the sport, expand it, and all that. For me, I'm a huge fan of that. I've talked about the fact that I compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff, so I'm a big fan of Franco because of Brazilian culture I'm interested in. And
Franco is
him.
Yanni version 2.0 because they both started outside of the GP paddock. Like, I think, didn't Yanni, race supermoto or something at some point and then
it's
went to
CRT bikes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but even before that, just like Franco, he was on non-GP machinery. But whatever, we gotta move on. We have spent so much time on that bandwagon. Let's
It's a good topic.
Let's get to it is a good topic.
Wait, actually,
let's get to
I'm
bandwagon.
wait. If you guys are on the Franco
Dennis
bandwagon,
said wait, we all gotta wait.
Oh boy.
No, if you guys are on the Franco bandwagon, I just want to say that if the question is he helping to revive Moto 2, I'm not completely sold on that because I can't help but feel that this is just like the previous seasons where it's not necessarily the cream rising to the top, it's just the case of good competition having left.
Bye, Felicia.
Gone?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a case of the competition having left because we saw at the end of last year. I got it, Dennis. You're good. We saw at the end of last year that he was on a massive, consistent podium run against that competition. You know what I mean? Like, in the sense that he was getting significant podiums against the guys who ended up moving up. So it wasn't like he was a scrub until they moved up sort of in the Tito aspect. He was competing against those guys, and he already has more wins than Sam Lowe's had. Sam Lowe's, everyone loved Sam Lowe's and talked about how great he was, and he's going to be so good, and Morbidelli's already better than Sam Lowe's.
Sucks.
Legitimately,
Yeah,
right?
He wasn't consistent enough. I mean, at that level,
brother.
the consistency is what really starts to count. And when you're chasing titles, you can't crash like he crashes. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't think it's necessarily a case of every top talent moved out of the industry, out of the series. It's just simply the progression of I was doing well against those guys, beating many of them and getting podiums, and now that they're gone, I'm the top dog, and it's time to seal the deal on how to win races, how to manage the front, how to win from different positions so that next year I'm in MotoGP.
That's right.
Because he's perfectly lined up to replace Tito or replace Miller. Because their contracts are up, he's in the team and he can move up. So I don't think it's that the talent left, it's that I took the next step from what I was doing against that talent.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Almost guaranteed that he'll move up then because Tito's doing great.
So the problem is all the other guys went up and there's not a lot of seats left, right? So then that means people have to leave to free it up. And the problem is with 3 or 4 guys who went up, it's going to be a bigger duration before those guys in the second class go up. So in theory, it's like the freshman year again, and it's resetting. These guys will sit there and fight for a while. It's good.
Right.
All right, can we move on now? We finally got Dennis to
Yes.
disagree like 15 minutes into that thing instead of at the beginning.
That just means we're moving on to we're not there yet. But
Well, no, we got it. We're moving on. All right, so Moto 3, Fenati. He showed up.
That's what I'm talking about.
He showed up.
Yeah, he did.
Finally. Right? The guy almost led the entire race. I think there was only there's
the
two
race
laps.
was restarted. The race was restarted, so there was some controversy with Canet obviously leading the race, looking unbeatable all weekend, and then the restart happens, and what does Fenati do? The bad boy of Moto 3, he decides to ruffle some feathers.
Bad boys. What you
gonna do? Gonna crash out when they're coming for you.
Dude,
that's basically what Aaron Canet did.
That was good.
So you think if Canet was still in the race that it would have been quite a bit different?
Well, I think if the restart hadn't have happened, then it would have been quite a bit different because Canet was on point. He was running for his first win. He was riding high on his confidence, and he was leading. But Fenati saw his chance when they redid it. He pulled a Rossi Laguna 2008, and he simply ruffled his feathers. And Canet sort of admitted it later, but and we saw Fenati sort of return like a fucking phoenix from the ashes, dog. That guy got sacked by the team that was built around him last year for, a variety of reasons, depending on who you talk to. And because of his fucking mom, dog. You know what I mean? His mom was all up in Uchio's face.
That's gotta suck,
that worked.
That's
really
gotta be
well
embarrassing, man. Fuck. Anyway.
I'm not sold on Fenati's return because I feel like he shows these flashes of brilliance when he's not getting fired. And then the next couple of races, he maybe next race he gets 12th or something.
That not getting fired thing goes, counts for a lot.
Yeah, I mean that is sort of his MO. He'll have flashes of brilliance on the loss, but his flashes of brilliance are wins. He switches teams, someone takes a chance on him, and what happens? He fucking wins. He completely repays someone giving him that chance. At the same time, the VR46 team is really struggling right now. I mean, that might have worked out like crazy like a fox, because that KTM in Moto3 is looking like shit. And the Honda's looking great. And Fenati, because his mom is a raving psycho, somehow got him on a better bike for this year, and there he is, winning races again. I definitely think that was sort of his redemption and his rise back from what was one of the more controversial moments of last season, which was fired in the middle of a race weekend.
It was a Honda podium lockout again, right? That's
again, right.
Yeah, so that's 3 for 3, or for all the races so far this year.
It's a conspiracy, bro.
No. What's the conspiracy, Everett?
No.
What is it?
I think it's obvious. I think just KTM's distracted by other shit. They're just kind of like, Moto3, fuck it.
Right. KTM went from the Moto3 force, the force to be reckoned with, to let's start a Moto2 team and let's start a MotoGP, MotoGP team. Moto3 is just low on that totem pole now, and unfortunately, the Sky 46, team, the Sky VR46 team is reaping not the benefits of that. And meanwhile, Fenati, gets on the Honda. We know the Honda's good. It's won multiple titles, especially if you're Danny Kent and your crew chief looks upon a strange setup that works really well for the first half of the season. And, that you would read on a great dig. So the KTM's looking rough, but I think, Fenati he's a race winner. He's won 5 races in a season. He's a talent in Moto3. Is he a journeyman Moto3 rider? I'm not so sure. Rob sent me that he's the Tom Luthi of Moto3.
I was gonna introduce that topic right now, and you just had to.
What topic were you gonna introduce, Rob?
So that's one of my other problems with Fenati is he is now the Tom Luthi of Moto3. Because he has the most points ever by any Moto3 rider in that class.
Oh, that's a terrible stat to have.
Luthi has like the most. Is it the most podiums and
he has the most points and most podiums.
Yeah. Fenati is exactly the Luthi. Like he wins a couple of races every single year, no matter what controversy is happening around him. But he never puts in a really solid title challenge, or maybe he's in the top 5.
Means.
Oh, there, Dennis got it.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck does that? Like, I was reading it. What does that mean?
Yeah,
I get
because
it now,
even last year, like Fenati was sacked, and he still finished the championship like reasonably high up. He can score points. He just can't put it together.
He should be sacked more often.
He always has that run where he'll get two wins, 3 podiums, and 23rd.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like he never has that consistency to fight for the title. I don't necessarily think it because Luthi just simply never could put together enough wins. For Fenati, it's interesting because he was basically primed and ready to join the Moto2 team for Sky VR46 until they got rid of him, so they put in Stefano Manzi instead. But Fenati is he the Luthi of Moto3? I'm not so sure because he's fucking interesting. Like, we have never spent in the history of all our podcast episodes talking about Luthi combined aggregate time as much as we just spent talking about Fenati.
Yep.
Like Luthi is the most boring.
Next topic.
No one's interested. Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Over it.
I do wonder if Fenati would benefit from the move up to Moto2. I'm kind of surprised he didn't make that step after getting fired. Because even Fabio Quartararo got bumped up after having a bad year.
He wants that shit.
He wants
bro.
that. God, everything tells me that he's not going to get it, so he should just bounce and go to Moto 2. I mean, I know he's a short dude, and he can still actually ride the Moto 3 bike, right? Like, Buiga's already kind of getting sized out of it. He's not the jockey anymore.
He's
but
just
goddamn.
He's just timing things so he can take Danny Pedrosa's ride in like 3 or 4 years. So,
That's what. So he'll pull the Jack Miller straight into GP and take Danny Pedrosa's ride.
No,
yeah, that'll work out great.
Not that. He's got a long way to go before the pure jump.
Yeah, right.
You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, Fenati does look like Pedrosa.
A little bit.
They do. They both have that squish face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I say you that fat face. It's a little squished, kind of weird looking. Yeah.
While we're on doppelgangers, did anyone else notice that Danny Kent looks kind of like Justin Bieber? Just saying.
No.
Just saying.
Oh, I'm not touching that.
Who's Danny Kent? Is he an active racer? Does he race in GP right now?
Oh, he's been fired just as many times as Fenati.
Right. Now, I mean, to sort of finish up the Moto3 talk, because that wasn't the crux of the episode, but we felt like we needed to touch on it. Me, personally, I think it's fucking sweet that he won, because he's a character. Rob earlier said, we come for the racing, but we stay for the characters. You latch onto personalities. Yep. You get guys you root for. You're interested. Otherwise, we'd all just go to club races and watch like the 600 production race of AFM because that's close racing. But that's not really why you're there. You want to see the best guys and the best machinery, but then afterwards you weed it out based on who you like. And Fenati's got a fucking sweet story. That's a hot-headed motherfucker in the long tradition of hot-headed motorcycle riders. You know what I mean? He's not this like manufactured Danny Pedrosa created by corporations like robot to do exactly what they say when they say. He's a hot-headed motherfucker whose mom apparently is hot-headed enough to get an argument with Valentino Rossi's best friend. Like clearly the only person you don't fight with.
In the paddock.
And he fought with him enough. Right. In the whole fucking paddock, the only dude you don't fucking step to is Uccio.
And maybe Carmelo,
carries,
and maybe Rossi himself.
No, dude, Rossi makes more money than fucking MotoGP, and Uccio's got more money than Carmelo. Straight up, I'm telling you that. But Fenati's a character. He gets fucking bounced from his team for being too much of a hothead with too much of a hothead mom. He comes back, and then only a few races in, he reestablishes who he is. It's a story. It's interesting. It's a script that we can get behind. Like that, you want to say he's the Tom Luthi, but Luthi has no story or interest behind him other than the first time he ever won a race back to back was last year. Fenati is a much different story that you can get behind. He's the bad boy, and every series needs a villain. Every series needs someone that rattles people's cages and is interesting. If Fenati is that guy for Moto3, personally, me, I hope he wins the fucking title. Fuck Joe.
He'd lose the underdog sort of rooting for him, but he's still got the bad boy going. But all right. We've covered Fenati enough. I'm going to segue because that was actually perfect. That was a perfect segue to World Superbike this past weekend. So we were talking about personalities. We're talking about bad boys. Chaz Davis called Johnny Ray
Motherfucking
a prick.
Chaz
Called Johnny Ray a prick after qualifying.
What a prick.
That's the headline.
I think he's cracking. I think he's finally cracking under the pressure.
Davis or Ray? No, stupid question.
Ray, really?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Stupid question.
Yeah.
What's he cracking about? What are you
Stupid
racing?
question, Rob.
He's cracking.
Edit that shit out.
He's cracking bottles.
But we got to back up and actually explain what happened.
Do you want to do
during
it?
Qualifying.
Did you watch
So
it?
the qualifying, it said, I will fucking explain it. So fucking Johnny Ray spends 3/4 of a lap chilling on the race line once he's done, and Davis has to fucking pull up to get out of his way so he doesn't run into him and literally fucking run him over. So Chaz ends up getting on the front row in World Superbike, but he's fucking heated. And I'm surprised that you say he called him a prick, Rob, because later in that statement, he says, next time, I'll just run it up on you and smash into you. Davies fucking said, I'm going to run you over. He straight up said to that dude in front of everyone, salty as fuck, salty as cow on a sleepless newborn baby night. If you get in my way again, I'm just going to run you over. I mean, them's fighting words. I'm going to crash into you.
Now Ray's got to do it again and see if he actually does it, because I don't think he will.
Oh my
Right,
god!
right.
He won't, because the whole paddock is Ray's
You
bitch,
won't.
and that's exact. Dennis, I want you to go on to the cracky thing because that's exactly what it does. Dude is fucking pissed. Everyone said this was supposed to be Chaz's year. You saw it all over the internet, on Barf, on Reddit, on our fucking Instagram page, on our Facebook. Everyone was riding the Chaz hype train because they got dual exhaust. He started winning. He's worse off this. You're right. He's worse off this year than last year. This year, he's like a scrub. He's got one win. Guess what? He got one win on a satellite BMW, too. You know what I mean? Like, this is not the step up that everyone was looking for. And bro is cracking because Ray looks like he's half asleep winning literally 90% of the races.
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
Real talk.
I commented on it a little earlier this week between us, but it's Chaz Davis's 105% to Ray's 80%. And generally, the guy that's not trying so hard is the one that wins the championship handily, and it's showing.
It makes me sad.
But I mean, we got to go. So back to qualifying. There was a lot of contention over whether or not Johnny Ray actually blocked Chaz, and it was mostly contention by Ray because he was the only one that really thought that he didn't block anyone. Like, we all saw it. Ray finished his lap. Chaz made it across the line and still had one more in him because they've
But Ray,
Go
the
ahead.
best.
Everyone.
The best was Ray just kind of like, what are you talking about, man? Like, he just did. It's like, it's my fucking racetrack. I'll do what I want. Go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
It's so great.
Exactly.
No, what happened? It was like that Shaggy song where he's like, you saw me fucking that girl in the bathroom. Wasn't me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Ray's like, I didn't block the line. Race Direction's like literally penalizing him 3 positions right off the bat. No one even argued it, and Kawasaki didn't like, contest it or anything. It was like, nah, bro, that wasn't me. That was, I don't know what you're talking about. Clearly, you were doing it.
Well,
because Ray doesn't give a fuck. The reverse grid bullshit has proved wherever Ray starts, it doesn't matter. He's winning the race.
It's pretty stupid.
So what do I care about 3 fucking penalties? If I fucking block Chaz a little bit and rile him up and get him heated, that just works for me because I'm cool with
To the
it,
point,
cucumber.
it doesn't work at all for anybody. The top 4 guys are still the top 4 guys.
Right.
all it does is make sure that either Sykes or Davis are somewhat, I wouldn't say penalized, but they're just pushed a little bit further back and have slightly less of a chance of winning.
They're handicapped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
they're-
know
they're
when you think about it, you know who it really fucks? It fucks the guys in, what is it, row 4? Because now they're 1 row back from the guys that are in row 2. that they're like, shit, I can't catch those guys now. They got an extra 3
Who it
seconds.
fucks is Ducati. Who it fucks is the team closest to Kawasaki, which is Ducati. Because those guys, like to Rob's point, 105% versus 80%, they're trying their ass off from the front row to get second or third. And now we're penalizing them. They have to try even harder, which, if you're going 99, 100, 102%, there's nothing left to try. Ray just has to turn the dial up a little bit, and he's back to the front and winning races again, like we've proven. I mean, I think on Moto Matters, a guy said the quote was like in a damning reference to the reverse grid. The top 7 were the exact same top 7 from race 1. Like, it made 0 difference.
Yep.
0 difference whatsoever. That reverse grid is the worst idea ever.
So the question
I
is,
can see why.
well, do they get
ahead.
do they get rid of it this year then, or do they keep it?
Well,
They're gonna keep it because it is giving a few other riders a little bit more TV time, kind of at the beginning.
Celebrities.
Yeah,
It's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. And maybe that's why they did it. Was the other
if
teams
anyone wa-
complained?
If anyone...
it's more TV
Yeah, but I
time
mean-
than the CRT podium bike in GP. Considerably
Right.
more.
And the interesting thing about this is GP's always had the number 1. It's the premier series on. But World Superbike, if you actually look at their history, has traditionally been ahead of the curve. When GP at 2-stroke and Duhan, winning 11 races in a 14-race season and shit, 10 races, was completely killing that series. World Superbike knew that 4 strokes was the future, and they started, and they had great racing with a lot of manufacturers across it. And then they saw the tides turning, and they went to, when they realized that tires were dictating the outcome of the race. If you look at like Michelin in 2001, 2, and 3 were completely dictating who won the title, they switched to the single tire rule. They've been ahead of the curve every time, from the focus on 4-stroke to the focus on tires to the focus on bringing back power from the factories while encouraging the factories to still contribute, right? So World Superbike, in a weird way, has actually been leading motorcycle racing in what they need to do, and this is their first real falter. The reverse grid is the most contrived, gimmicky thing I could possibly think of, and nothing ever works when it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick.
Well,
You know that it's a gimmick. So what they need to do is go back to the roots and realize that there needs to be a fundamental change in the series, not just manufacturing some extra passes, but actually staying ahead of the curve and realizing that this series needs help. And what does it need help in? It has a complete massive drop off in talent of riders beyond the top 5. Yeah. A huge drop-off.
Oh, God.
I mean, and the team drop-off is huge. They got some teams that should not be on the World Superbike World Series level. I mean, I hate to say it, but we know that's the case.
Kevin, you actually sound like you follow World Superbikes. What the hell?
You watch this thing?
What? Exactly. I mean,
What the hell?
This is funny. Like, World Superbikes back in the day was legit. It was more popular than GP in many areas. I remember the days when Ben Bostrom moved over, when you saw World Superbike was immensely popular while GP was sort of faltering, and GP followed their suit and realized that 4-stroke was the key. That's what we needed to do. And then, of course, World Superbike changed to the single tire manufacturer, and GP followed suit not long after. They've been leading the charge on what keeps fans interested, and yet somehow we've inverted.
That's the thing that they've failed at recently, though, because GP has. Well, your last point was that World Superbike kind of took power from the factories and brought entertainment more into the forefront. But GP has now done that considerably better, right? The factories don't control the road book over there. They no longer have custom hardware for the electronics, and they don't have custom software. And that's the thing that factories still have in World Superbike, right? There are rules limiting it, but factory software is still a thing. And I think that's the major driving force between between the talent discrepancy in the teams and the team discrepancy in World Superbike. Is you've got Kawasaki, full factory, Ducati, mostly full factory, and then no one, like Yamaha's kind of a half factory. And then who else, right? Aprilia's just supported. Tenkate gets nothing from HRC. Does anyone else race in this series?
I don't know.
Right, and that's the thing. I think World Superbike, what they need is, the only people that care about World Superbike are like 9 British people, right? Because that series is dominated by the British. And while that's great and all, and there's some Irishmen and some Welshmen and stuff, that series needs a major change and a major influx of talent and teams. It needs a huge shakeup.
I thought we
I've
had
covered
it.
this before.
I thought we had it when we
ahead.
had Moto 2 riders moving over. But then the teams really dropped off even further. And if they weren't riding the factory Kawasaki or the factory Ducati, they weren't going to win. If Aprilia had stayed over there and Torres was on a factory Aprilia, then yeah, we'd probably be talking about how the racing would be a little better, and we'd be talking about how there's more talent in this series. But without that.
But I mean, you say, like, if you're not going to ride the factory Kawasaki or factory Ducati, you're not going to win. But let's be real. If you're riding factory Ducati, you're not going to win. Because when you're supposed to fucking win, after you are heated as fucking qualifying, and you're about to shove it down Ray's motherfucking face at his best track, you're like, voltage drops, and your bike DNFs. You hand him the championship, and no one fucking knows what happened. How fucking pissed is Chaz Davies? Aruba Ducati, which I don't know what that name is or what that even means.
It's like a website.
Not good for their sponsor.
Aruba.Italia.
Right, it's like a website. Right. The point being, they actually posted an apology to Chaz. That's what the series has come to, is that Ducati can't even keep up. You know, traditionally the marquee of the series has stayed in it through the dark days and the transition years. Ducati isn't even winning. They got one fucking win, bro. One win. And Melandri's riding around like he doesn't even care, collecting some podiums, but he's not fighting for the title. This was a bad race weekend for Ducati and proved that the only people that actually care about winning this championship are
And Johnny Ray. I mean, Tom Sykes was a little sick the whole weekend, but it still seems like he's lost that fire because he's having a very difficult time beating Ray.
That's the crazy thing is you can tell he wants it though. He's pissed. He's pissed because it was his team and his bike, and he got there first, and then this other dude got there and just like, oh hey, thanks. Fucking later, buddy. And then he's just kicking the smile out of him.
Sykes joined them when they started. He got outshined by Spies on the Yamaha. And then he fucking joins Kawasaki. He brings them all the way up from nothing. He loses the championship by half of a point. And then he finally wins the title. Hands Kawasaki their fucking first champion. And half a fucking point, dude. I mean, that's bad. That's Apollo Creed, Rocky. You beat me by 1 second. That's very hard for a man of my caliber to handle. I mean, Rocky 3 quotes. That's what we do on GP. You're not getting that on MCN's podcast. You're not getting the Contra Code. You're not getting Rocky 3 quotes on other ones. And then Ray shows up and just wins 2 titles in the balance, is clearly going to win a 3rd one, and becomes one of the greatest World Superbike riders ever. Tom Sykes should have 3 championships if it wasn't for a bunch of weird situations. Instead, he has 1, and 1 that's already forgotten.
We say that about a lot of riders, though, right? Casey Stoner would have had a lot more titles if it wasn't for Ducati.
Whoa. Sykes is no Stoner, though. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. You know,
so fast.
Things got to align.
Hey. How dare you?
You're off your game today, Rob. You're off your game, man.
No, but wait, what was the other stat, Rob? I think we were texting back and forth watching. 5.5 points, or was it Kev? Total 5.5 points for 3 titles.
He's like 5.5 points away from having 3 titles. No,
wow.
You know, we can be talking about how Sykes is Johnny Ray, and instead we're talking about how no one even remembers that he won the title, and he just seems complacent to get seconds and thirds and help Kawasaki completely rule.
Well, so here's what's fucked up for Sykes is. What does he do? Leave Kawasaki and try and get a better ride? I mean, no. Well, I mean, for us, maybe. So we get somebody else who can beat Ray, but clearly Sykes can't get it done. You know.
Why don't I offer a different alternative? How about Kawasaki leaves World Superbike and make a return to MotoGP, like Aprilia?
That's my pipe dream. But we know it's not going to happen. Yeah.
But that doesn't help the series. Like,
I disagree.
The World Superbike series.
Ducati will just go back to the Ducati series. Yeah.
We don't want factories leaving the series. We want Honda to step up. We want Yamaha to step up. We want those teams. I mean, Dorna basically paid Iota Racing to switch series and run the Aprilia, which we know can win titles because Sylvain Guintoli fucking won the title on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they hire Alex De Angelis. Don't get me wrong. Alex is cool, San Marino and shit, but he's injured. He was injured as fuck. You don't come back from that shit. Just ask Bradley Smith. That series needs an influx of talent with the teams that exist. We need Honda to step up with a better bike, and you need Yamaha. I mean, again, Yamaha's a factory team, so to speak, but Alex Lowe's is like the lower version of the Lowe's we just spent talking about how he sucks.
Wow.
Move on. Yeah.
If you didn't realize, everyone, this is the shit talking episode.
Oh, definitely.
Of May.
Right.
1st of May.
I mean, World Superbike is abbreviated WSBK, which is like, I wish, whatever. I'm too drunk to remember my fucking meme. Remy sent me a dope meme.
Wish someone beside Kawasaki.
Right. I mean, that's the series. Everyone is over it. And Ray used to be one of the most popular guys in the series because he was the underdog somehow making that Kawasaki
on the shit bike.
That Honda win.
Yeah, but that's
right.
See, that's the thing though. It would be easier for the series to kick the factories out than it would be to get all the other factories to start spending more money. We know we're not getting Honda in this series. Like Aprilia said they were coming back, but this is what we've gotten. It's not factory support like we have in MotoGP, where it's prolific and where every factory but Kawasaki has a team, is not going to happen in World Superbike.
Right.
So if I feel like Dorna needs to go in that direction. They need to favor the private teams, and they need to remove the advantages that the factories have. I think the first step for me is for them to go to spec software. I mean, we've seen it work in other national series. BSB is the primary example. And there is some factory support over there, but it's not factory technicians in the box. At least if I remember correctly. But then the racing is good, right? Because we know that everyone on the planet, or there are plenty of technicians that know how to set up a motorcycle, as long as you're talking about the chassis and the suspension. But we also know that there are probably only 10, 15 guys on the planet that can set up GP and World Superbike level electronics to win races and to beat other guys. Like HRC and Yamaha keep poaching technicians back and forth because there aren't that many of them. So we got to. I think we need to reduce the spec of World Superbike to get that competitiveness back, and it won't affect the racing in a negative way. Like a lot of people always scream that you would slow the bikes down, and I want to see fire-breathing superbikes, and I want to see the best of the best. Yeah. You can't see a 1 second lap time difference on the television. No, it's not going to change.
And plus, has MotoGP even slowed down throughout the seasons?
No. Yeah. They went to different tires, and they still set lap records, right? And the tires are So it's. I mean, and we've seen specs get lowered in other classes. World Superbike or World Super Sport doesn't have traction control anymore, and they're still going just as fast as they did before. Right. Supposedly their horsepower is down a little bit too because they can't adjust the bottom end. They can't change pistons or cranks or rods anymore, and they're still going faster. Yeah, so we don't need that super high spec because motorcycle racing, professional motorcycle racing, is entertainment first, and it's marketing second, and it's factory development third. And Dorna,
so it's Kevin first, Everett second, and then Rob third, basically.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
Sorry, Rob.
I mean, that's the thing is, why does World Superbike exist, right? I mean, the market has changed. The global market for motorcycles is significantly different. If you talk to like me and Everett, right? Like we came up, we're a little older than Rob, and we came up in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. They were fucking slanging 600s and thousands. Like, every other year was a new fucking bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that series was dope because they were making new bikes constantly. The economy was booming, but that's not what sells anymore. We got Honda, we got low-spec bikes selling, low displacement, naked bikes sell. It's different. So what does World Superbike exist for if it's not selling leader bikes specifically with a new bike every other year?
They exist to promote World Super Sport 300, apparently, because those are the most selling bikes on the planet.
Right. So we got to have stories behind this because it's not like the late 90s or early 2000s where they were selling the brand with these homologation specials. That's GP now. GP is the brand creator. That's what Honda. That's why Honda doesn't ride World Superbike or commit to World Superbike at all, and that's why KTM doesn't commit to World Superbike at all because they don't make a bike and they're going to race it and promote their brand in the GP series. We got to make sure that World Superbike has something other than close racing because it doesn't have that right now. You can't guarantee it. It needs stories. It needs riders. It needs interest, and we need something other than like BSB plus. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be something other than where the guys from British Superbike go afterwards. We need Americans, and we need Spanish guys, and we need Italian guys. People complain about the Latin control of GP, but the fucking Latin dudes love racing. They fucking dominate it. And we need to see guys be able to move over from other series. I've said this before. Me and Dennis had this conversation walking to his car at Laguna last year. Moto 2 needs to have an outlet because the biggest complaint from the series is it's full of a log jam. And we have guys like Tom Luthi who are becoming gatekeepers for the series. I don't ever want to fucking hear that because Tom Luthi never did shit in GP. Proving you can beat him does not prove you belong in GP. See Tito Rabat and Bradley Smith, motherfuckers. Tom Luthi never went to MotoGP and came back down. Elias did that, and Rabat's gonna do that. But we need to have the ability for new teams and new influx and new stories to happen, and I think there's a lot of teams and a lot of guys in Moto 2 that need to take a step away from that series and move up from there. Cal has proven that if you win in World Superbike, you can be competitive in MotoGP. fucker won 2 races. Every podcast since his second race I've said, I can't believe I say that, but there it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's true, whether we want to hate on him or not. If you can win in World Superbike consistently, you can win in MotoGP under the right conditions. We need to have World Superbike have more stories, more interests, more personalities. Moto2 is full of a bunch of teams and riders that don't need to be there anymore. Move them up.
All right, well,
a lateral move.
I'm cutting you off because you brought Tom Luthi up again, and you now like doubled his airtime.
Right.
So I mean, we've been talking shit about Ducati this whole time in World Superbike, but I want to transition back to GP and talk about COTA and Ducati and their struggles. It was very interesting to see that Jorge Lorenzo was able to out-qualify Dovi. And he seemed like he made a step forward, but it didn't really go so well during the race. And the whole weekend was still tarnished, right? It wasn't a good Ducati weekend, especially at COTA, which is a drive out of slow corners horsepower track.
Right. They go traditionally, they haven't won there, but they've done really well there. They have podiums numerous times at COTA. A lot of people talk about how Dovi might be the dark horse for the win because, we weren't sure how good the Honda was doing, and the Ducati goes well there, and Dovi is... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but we didn't get any of that. Instead, we got Jorge in front of Dovi for a little bit, and then Dovi just, didn't put the result together. So now there's tension between the factory and Dovi and Jorge. Like, I think Dovi didn't call out Jorge and Gigi kind of playing favoritism there, but I feel like that's the undertone between what he's been saying. Yeah. So where did this come from? They had they finally won races last year, and now we've got nothing.
I don't know.
Right.
It goes back to that Lorenzo style article, right? I mean, Lorenzo's just adapting, and it's going to take him time, whereas Dovi, and that's why there's tension. Dovi's basically saying, hey, man, I'm here, I'm giving you results. Give me the fucking bike, give me the development, give me the love, and lay off Jorge until he figures his shit out, and let's go get some wins. And they'll probably say, hey, we invested in Jorge. We got to give him all the love. Guaranteed.
So you think that the lack of COTA result, though, is because of Jorge favoritism? Because the development isn't going Dovi's direction because they're trying to morph the bike.
I don't know if I'd guess all that much, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if just the focus is a little bit more heightened around Lorenzo than it is. I don't know if it's development necessarily.
I mean, you should have said hell yeah, and I would have played the fucking X-Files theme song.
I'm just saying. I mean, there's it's just the natural order when you go sign a big dick like Lorenzo, who's got the big contract, and he's gonna you're gonna put your energy around the guy. He's supposed to deliver, and he's not. And so Dovi's probably like, all right, where the fuck?
Yeah, it's a weird situation for Dovi because Dovi is like the Moses of MotoGP. Like, he fucking joined them and led them out of the desert. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he joined the team. They sucked. They hadn't won shit, and he slowly helped. We talked about how he's the hardest working man in race business. Mm-hmm. He just put his nose to the grindstone, didn't complain, and slowly but surely brought them back from the promised land. He started getting podiums. He did really well, and then eventually he got that win. And then they signed Lorenzo, paying him 12 million plus euros a year, and now they completely focus on him. Like, Dovi's got to be sort of thinking, like, I know Lorenzo's a 3-time champ, but, like, I'm the guy who led you guys out of the desert.
He's probably. I gotta imagine that Dovi read that Jorge interview where Jorge said, "I don't really use the rear brake, but I need to." And Dovi's probably like, "What the? You don't fucking use the rear brake? God damn it!
Right?
Like, why are they paying you so much goddamn money?"
It's not that he can't.
Right,
it's not that he can't. It's that he. It's not that he.
That's
not that he can't. It's that he doesn't. He may have figured out that he went faster with the smoothness of the Yamaha coming into the turns without overbraking, right? And then he carried more speed.
No,
right? That's the whole thing.
It obviously worked. It obviously worked, but it's an undeveloped skill that he now sees as detrimental on the Ducati.
Which is good.
I mean, even he was comparing himself to Vinales and saying that Vinales can stop the Yamaha more with the rear tire.
Right.
And it's helping Vinales ride better in all conditions. Jorge said that was the main problem with him riding in mixed conditions. And we know if it's not 72 degrees outside and track time is 110, Jorge's not going to do that great. And now we've kind of heard that might be because he isn't that good with the rear brake.
Yeah.
So you you put these world champions up on a pedestal, and then you go like, damn, like it's great that they were able to accomplish that with this deficient skill, but seriously.
Deficient skill.
Deficient skill, yeah. I mean, it's funny to use the term deficient skill against a guy who has won 3 titles and beat some of the greatest ever.
I know, right?
But it's true.
Yeah.
He has a hyper-specific style that seems to be developed. I mean, he's only ever ridden, until this year, the factory Yamaha. You know what I mean? Like, one of the best bikes there's ever been in the history of motorcycle racing.
Must be nice.
And he switches team. Yeah, must be nice. Right, yeah. Yeah, ask 90% of people in the paddock, that'd be nice.
90% of the guys in the paddock would cut off one of their nuts for it.
Right, for one ride on it, one weekend, to prove what they could do. And he switches to Ducati, and he's like, oh, I don't use the rear brake all that much, that kind of
Exactly.
sucks. Like, I mean, Davies was known as the demon late breaker, the guy who breaks the latest, the most straight up, and even he knows, hey, bro, you got to adjust the style, you got to work it. It's like Jorge doesn't know where he went. The legacy is Casey Stoner, bro. He won the title. Everything is viewed through the lens of Stoner, the rear brake machine. You know what I mean? I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it just goes to show how hard it is
For
to
reals.
adapt to a new style after you've been on a different style for so long. So it's a lot of people, I think, just don't recognize that difficulty.
Yeah, I mean, we would speculate all day that, right, that Marquez could easily win on the Ducati because it more suits his style, and there might be a few other riders that could do it as well. But yeah, you're right. I mean, these guys they spend years working on their style. They spend years tailoring the bike to them and them to the bike, and then to flip that and go to a different manufacturer is supremely difficult. I just feel like it also shows too that GP bikes have become so specific, because I feel like years ago, a decade ago, this was not as challenging back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Capirossi left the Honda, jumped on the Ducati, podiumed in their 3rd race, and won like their 6th race in 2003. You know what I mean? Like on a trellis frame Ducati on Michelin's. You know, he switched manufacturers completely and was competitive right right off the bat. So
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I think it goes to development too. It's almost like that. We were talking, Kev, you were talking about bikes a long time ago. I think there was only so far the technology had gone, and what happened was you started these technologies at this level just start really splintering in different directions, and so you see something like the Ducati went this completely different way, and it actually is creating a much different chassis and style and different characteristics that style has to adapt to, whereas the Honda's got its own thing, and then the Yamaha's got its own thing. Now there's probably some that are out there that are a little more similar, but it's pretty interesting to see that they're not quite that easy to adapt to now.
Yeah, I guess we do talk about that more in GP than in Superbike, as the discrepancy of the style between the motorcycles. Mm-hmm. I mean, even everyone does talk about the Ducati in World Superbike compared to the Cowie, but they mostly bring up the fact that the engines are dramatically different. Right? They have to be ridden differently, and even in the last race, Davies and Ray were making up time in different spots of the track. But that doesn't happen nearly as often as in GP, I feel like. Maybe it's just because we watch it more.
It just lends itself to the bikes, I think, and street bikes, and the way that they probably have to be homologated and balanced, and it makes you wonder. It's a good question.
Yeah. Well, so let's should we preview the next race a little bit, because we're on GP. We're moving back to Europe finally.
Well, by previewing the next race and on GP, what allows us to talk about Valentino Rossi, which instantly gets us more listens. Because regardless of what anyone says, if we post that Rossi is leading the title change, we get more likes and more listens. It's just the way it is. And he's the guy who can switch riding styles and keep it up. So, inexplicably...
Oh, you went there.
Yeah.
Everybody should be scared.
Yeah.
Everybody should be scared. The fact that people are...
Rossi missed.
As much as... Yeah, that's scary, though, that people are it's that bad, right? Because what happens when he does leave? We're fucked.
Yeah, no, they're fucked, and everyone knows it.
Fucked.
But so, yeah, Jerez is coming up, right? Rossi won last year.
Wait, what track? What track,
Dennis?
No, he said it right. He said it right.
Jerez.
Please
Tell
us
Says
anyway.
what right?
No, you said it right. Jerez.
Jerez.
Oh God.
Jerez.
Jerez.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, clearly Franco Morbidelli is going to make it 4 for 4 because he's got a Jerry curl at Jerry's track. So, a Jerry's curl. Hashtag Jerry's curl. Someone post that. Free stickers.
Not that we aren't giving them away already. Oh shit!
They're
Actually,
already free, but still.
I think I forgot to email you about a dude that totally donated. Never mind.
And wanted free
We'll
stickers.
hook him
Nah,
up
he-
with
he
it.
for
posted-
donations.
he posted- yeah.
Yeah, you just gave him a shout out right now. There you
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Hey, Steve, what's up, man?
I mean, I guess the only question for the next race is how quickly does Mav bounce back from his recent mistake?
He wins.
Pretty quick.
He
Yeah,
already
quick.
forgot about it, man.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a question,
Dude,
and we're
his
done.
quote was his quote was, "I don't know why I crashed. I don't care." He was over it instantly. He didn't even give a quarter of
I
a
agree.
fuck. He gave less fucks about that crash than Johnny Ray gave about Chaz Davis's fucking little tirade in Park Ferme. Whatever, bro. Hey, I crashed. I don't know why. I'm gonna win the next race. It's all good. I mean, I literally think that Maverick is on the podium, and I still bet him for the
Yeah.
race win. If I'm putting money down on bwin.com, I'm betting Maverick.
It could be
Straight
a little
up.
fluky.
Well,
but yeah.
if you keep betting him and he keeps winning, then you're gonna end up with more than your prediction. Like, come on, you gotta pick a race where he doesn't win.
No, he
No,
doesn't.
no.
No, he doesn't.
Crickets.
Well, I've
Crickets on
said
that one.
9 from the get. I've said 9 from the get go, so I'll come out even. If I
Yeah.
bet every race. I've said 9 from the get go. Since last year, I said 9, and that's what I'm sticking with.
All right.
Anything's possible.
Well, I think we can wrap this one up. Does anyone have any closing thoughts they want to get in here before we bounce?
Maverick wins, Rossi 3rd, Mark Marquez 2nd.
Damn
You
predictions.
think Marquez is gonna? Wow. I said closing thoughts. I didn't say predictions. You put your neck on that one.
That's
Yeah,
how I
I'm
do.
just excited
I
for
know,
the
right?
European rounds to get back in action, and that's when we really start to see the rubber meet the road here. Haha.
That is a good
Yeah.
point. Like, things generally get a little bit more normal once we get back into Europe. The other 3 tracks, like, it's always weather plays something interesting, right? The race conditions aren't exactly the same as practice. Some tire shit goes
Bandit
down.
steals someone's laptop.
Yeah, something always happens. So, but
Yeah.
we're back in Europe. Things will be more normal, and the championship fight really starts to heat up here. All right, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's the old adage. That I'm cutting you off. Fuck you. I'm still talking. People want to
I ain't
hear.
done.
People want to
Can't
hear.
shut
this.
me up.
Exactly. Don't try and censor me. Don't try and censor me. You know, the series starts in Europe as the old adage, and that was even before we added 3 previous pre-Euro rounds. But the question is Valentino leads the series sort of inexplicably. Can he continue this run of consistency against the young gun race winners and see where he goes?
Who just yawned?
if we
Who just
talk him
yawned? Oh man, that was too good.
I didn't yawn.
That was
Dennis,
too good.
why
I
you
caught it.
yawn?
I caught that shit.
Dennis.
Kev, you making him tired, bro. Damn.
Exactly.
I called him out. Sorry.
Oh well, everyone.
So, I
Dennis
mean,
Dennis
go
crashed
ahead.
this weekend at the racetrack, so he has slight excuses. That's why he's not punching people in the face at Muay Thai today. I'm sorry, Dennis. I
Yeah, I
have to
got
tell
that.
everyone.
Laguna Seca is not kind to BrotoGP members. In the last year, we've had half of BrotoGP crash at Laguna Seca.
That's
A full
That is true.
50%.
not gonna happen this year for me. It already. Yeah, Dennis.
Because,
Thank
yeah.
you for that. Actually.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Damn,
Yeah.
those are contagious, man. Now I want to yawn.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
don't do it.
The funny thing is I was able to post the video of Dennis crashing, so our Facebook, BrotoGP, Facebook /BrotoGP, has the video of Dennis eating shit. For some reason, he turns his camera on like 50 minutes before he gets on the bike. Fucking for reals, bro. What are you doing there? Like, you don't turn it on when you get on the bike. You're like, turn it on and went and took a shit. But You know, you fast forward to 8:10, you see him crash, and the best part was Dorna did not, as of yet, try to claim copyright against a private video and ban us from Facebook. That actually happened, so someone's listening. Although after my Nick Harris rant from last race, which had some reverberations across the back, the behind the scenes
Don't
stuff
do
with
it.
GP,
Don't do it.
Maybe they will. Don't do it. Okay.
Don't bring it
All
up.
right.
Do it.
Don't bring it up. Ah, fuck.
All right. No, I'm really cutting you off now. That's it. We're done.
Damn it.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
Damn.
Thanks for listening. We got some good weekends of racing coming up. Sorry we didn't talk more about Moto America because that was a very
We never
interesting
do.
race. I gotta get these knuckleheads to watch more of the racing. What did you say, Dennis?
We never do.
Yeah. No, I know.
We never
Fucker,
talk about it.
I didn't even watch World Superbike. I didn't even watch it. I just faked it till I made it. You assholes didn't even know. I just honeypotted you motherfuckers like crazy. You're like
You
a chick
read
like told was
you
wearing
read
a
every
condom,
news article
and I
ever
ripped-
written. Stop it. You don't even need to watch.
No.
Basically, we were going. You had a little too much to drink, and I'm like, "Yeah, baby, I got a condom
Yep,
on. It's
got it.
all good."
I
And
might-
then just
I might
fucking
cut
done it.
this
I
out.
didn't watch shit.
I might cut that out to save your credibility, Kevin. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you in a week or two because we are at the heart of racing now, so these episodes are going to come fast.